I am really excited about this episode because it's the Storm one and it's probably one of my favourite episodes. Forget Running Free. I like Storm. Storm's my favourite episode. And it's going to be a really great episode because it's 3 parts. So we got a long day ahead of us. Let's jump straight into it.
Don't you reckon Pine Hollow is the best stables in the world? You can't.
Yes, I do, but that's only because it's fictional. No stable looks like Pine Hollow, and that's why we consider Pine Hollow to be the best stables in the world. Every person wants their stable to look like Pine Hollow. That's why Pine Hollow is the best one in the world, because it's not real and it doesn't look like any stables. That's why.
You're exploiting us because you know that we've got our backs against the wall. Do me a favour and crawl back under your stone.
There is no way they heard that conversation so clearly. They might have heard the static and the echo from it, but there's no way they heard that conversation so clearly. Even though they were yelling, you wouldn't have heard it that perfectly.
Oh, he's such a good boy.
Oh, my heart. Doggy.
Oh, he's so cute.
Oh, there's a reason why I can't go to all these places, because I just want to grab all the dogs. Like, oh, I just want to grab them all and take them home. Like, I could never go to a foster or an adoption place because I just want to get them all.
It's hard to believe that anyone could be so cruel to such beautiful animals.
Well, cruel is kind of a cruel word itself. A lot of times with dogs, sometimes the mother becomes pregnant but when they have their babies, they just don't have the room for them. They can't financially support them. And that's when they go off to foster care. It's nothing because they've been abused or kicked and screamed and all this. It's simply because they cannot support them well enough for a good home. And if they did keep them, it would make matters worse. So it's quite sad to use the word cruel when you think of a foster home, because that's not the case in all situations. So they give them to foster people so they can have that better life. So the term cruel comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's not really a negative thing. And people need to understand that when it comes to fosters and all this. I don't like how they put the word foster and cruel together, because it's not the case.
Cruelty comes in many different forms.
Oh, thank you.
Abuse, starvation, lack of care. Some of these animals don't have...
But not all the positives, like people just realising straight away that they can't look after an animal and fostering. They're not taking them to the pound, they're putting them up for adoption. They're just skipping the middleman.
32-year-old thoroughbred mare, blind and partially deaf.
I haven't come across many blind horses, but I can tell you that that is not a blind horse. And the fact that the horse's ears are moving shows that they're responding to sound around them, so they are not deaf. So, yeah, I did come across one blind horse and they had like the cloudy eyes, and you know, maybe blindness comes in all shapes and sizes like cruelty does, but that horse, from what I can see, is not blind or deaf.
With some of the younger animals, dogs especially, we get good results.
What about the horses?
Last month we had 2 successfully bred.
Okay, I'm not an expert on stabling horses, but all I'm going to say is if you had a horse that was this out of control and blah blah blah, I wouldn't be putting it next to other fragile horses. Like, I would be putting this horse in isolation, away from all the other horses, because what he's doing is going to disturb the other horses and only give them anxiety. You know, I'm not an expert when it comes to stabling these horses, but I think I have a little bit of knowledge to say that Storm would be put somewhere else. He wouldn't be put anywhere near any stabled horses if he is this psycho, because it would just give the other horses anxiety and make them want to join in as well. It's like a bolt. One horse does it and they all do it. Yeah.
I don't think that's quite what Max had in mind.
Please, Red, we've got to do something. We can't just let him die.
And you think that you're above everybody else. Like he said, he's tried so many rehabilitations and blah blah blah. And you being 13 and Red being 17 for some reason think you're above everybody and can rehabilitate this horse. If I heard that, I'd be thinking, wow, the best have tried. There's no hope for this horse. Unfortunately, he's a danger to society, clearly, and he's a danger to other horses.
Dime does tricks. We could put on a concert. Dime bites. We could get sued.
And then we wouldn't be making our profit.
Listen, Ashley, I can sing. Says who? Says my mum.
But again, everyone's mum says they can sing. It's kind of like just a mum thing. Name one mum who hasn't said to their child, oh, you can sing. Everyone's mum says that.
Pick a broken down old nag when Pine Hollow has an entire stable full of perfectly good, functional horses.
This horse isn't for Pine Hollow. It's to give Pine Hollow a reputation. Whoa. Oh, go back just 2 secs. Who was that gentleman?
Going. Yeah, Paul.
They literally have someone in shot shaking the float. You couldn't have just had him out of shot. He's just there shaking the float. Oh god. You couldn't have just had him out of shot. Shake that thing. I have some questions. You're trying to tell me that this horse was just so out of control. You couldn't put a halter on him, so you couldn't tie him up. So he spent the entire ride home loose in a horse float. Oh my god. You didn't even attempt to tie him up. Like, there are drugs out there that you can give to an anxiety horse to at least get them to calm down for the half-hour trip. Like, I don't, you know, would recommend them on a regular basis, and if your horse is scared of the horse float, then I wouldn't be giving to them every single time. But this horse, the fact that you couldn't even tie him up to the horse float, and he spent the entire trip home loose, you know, he could have hurt himself. Oh my god. Why? I don't understand. You could have at least attempted to halter him up. Like they do that with race horses sometimes. They get the harness and kind of halter them up. I've seen that happen before. You made no attempt to tie up this horse. That is so dangerous. If you had a car crash, that horse would be dead. Oh my god. My heart. And after the guy shaking the trailer too, I don't know what to believe anymore. Was it Storm or was it just a guy shaking the float? Okay, Storm has shoes on, and shoes have to be regularly maintained every 7 weeks. No one has touched this horse. We can see that his mane's a mess. He hasn't been brushed in ages. But yet he's got perfect feet. Looks like the farrier has recently come as well. I'm looking at his shoes and they seem to be perfectly done. They're not overdue or anything. You know, I don't believe you right now. You know, he's messed up. His hair's a mess. His coat's a mess. But he's got shoes and his feet are perfectly done. You could have at least made it a little bit unbelievable for me. Just for me, at least, you know. Nobody else, just me.
Go red! Back out! Okay, Lisa, close it off. Lock it.
Lock it. Because none of your other students do that. The amount of times I see that your gates are open. But this one, you're confirming that you lock it. I'd be firm with all other gates as well. And if the gates were locked, Hugo wouldn't have gone missing the first time. Drew's like, what the fuck? I sent you for one fucking horse and you send me this? What? That's what he's thinking, but he can't say that because this is a kid's show, so I'm just translating what he's saying. beautiful.
I really thought Drew was going to upgrade this place.
Yeah, me too.
He was going to change things from a business point of view. There is a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That is fixable. Oh, Lisa. Alright, let's just go from this. Storm is a foster horse, meaning that you will really rehabilitate him for adoption. And I don't think you'll be the one adopting him. Something tells me after you spent your parents' money making your horse run free, they ain't gonna buy you another horse anytime soon. So get this image out your head. You will not be the one buying Storm at the end of this, because something tells me your parents won't let you. You kind of threw money down the drain for their last horse that they gave you. You ain't getting Storm.
You know, if you like, I could suggest some replacements.
Replacements wouldn't be necessary if everyone around here showed a little bit more responsibility. Do you even have an idea of how much one of those things cost?
Let's find that out. I'm quite curious. So they're about $30 to $40 depending on the quality you get. Crap, my camera! So yeah, they're about $30 to $40 depending on the quality you get, the brand you get, like if you want metal, wood, you know. So yeah, they're not cheap, but they're meant to last a long time. And for each saddle, you know, he'd have maybe 50 in that tack room. I assume they have like another tack room because I don't think all the horse gear with all the shooters would fit in that one room, just based on how big they make Pine Hollow out to be. But yet again, more recently they've just made it out they only have 5 students, so I can believe it now.
Now.
It just needs the screw tightening, that's all it needed. I could have picked that. Those things come loose because weight is constantly being put on it, on and off. It just needs the screws tightening. Veronica made it a lot worse than it needed to be.
Okay, so what do we think of Storm? Isn't he beautiful? I can't wait to get him started. But Red says that we need to let him settle down a little bit first.
Someone tells me this horse ain't settling down. He's been running around the round arena for about 2 hours. He's not tired yet. He ain't gonna get tired. He's calm now. This is the calmest you're gonna get him.
A little bit? I can already picture it. By the time we're done, there'll be a lineup a mile long of people wanting to adopt him.
And you're not going to be one of them, because you threw away your horse last time.
Aren't you getting a little ahead of yourself, Lisa? All I need is to gain his trust, and he'll be ready to adopt in no time. Are you sure you're up for it, Lisa? I mean, Storm's been through a lot.
How do you know what Storm has been through? Like, I don't think someone has sat down and told you Storm's past history yet. The only people who know are Red and Lisa. Red's too busy doing other things. I don't think he's had a chance to sit down and tell you, oh my god, I need to tell you about Storm's abusive history. Something tells me you don't really know just yet about Storm's history.
What, because I don't have your experience with horses?
Hey, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying because the people at the shelter couldn't rehabilitate him that...
Then maybe...
How do you know that? No one's told you yet. Oh, Helly. Oh, God. Oh, I don't know what to say. Like, Helly is a horse rider. She was a horse rider before the Saddle Club. That's a given. And I know she's only doing what she was told by the director. But, oh my God, what makes you think doing this is going to calm down a horse? In fact, if your friend was standing in front of you screaming in hyper and hysterics, are you going to do this in their face? Like, oh, common knowledge, like, I know she's probably thinking inside this is the wrong thing to do, but I'm being told to do it for a TV show, so I can understand how she's feeling, because doing this, you don't wave anything in a horse's face. Oh my God. And it's just the fact that I know that she has amazing knowledge, more than me at this age, that I just wonder, like, oh, just doing that, like, you wouldn't do it to a friend who is in hysterics. What makes you think doing this is going to calm down a horse?
Leave him alone! Oh, did you see that? That deranged animal just tried to attack me.
He's just afraid. In fact, he's probably more afraid of you than you are of him.
Lisa!
That's what they say about spiders. Because spiders are smaller than you. But yet again, that horse has the strength to pound you down. Plus he's wearing shoes, so that would hurt more.
Are you completely blind? That horse is vicious. The first chance it gets, it's going to hurt you.
He won't hurt me.
Oh yes, he knows me. We're friends, you know, he knows not to hurt me. This horse doesn't have emotion. He's depressed and anxiety and full of so much emotion. This horse doesn't just pick friends of who he's not going to hurt and who he's going to hurt, Lisa. This is being delusional. Okay, that horse, like Veronica said, will kill you the second it gets the chance in the wrong emotion. You know, I would be listening to Veronica on this side. Don't take her from being an enemy. Listen to her. This horse doesn't just pick friends. So don't just assume because you trust him that he trusts you. That's not always the case.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you. Still can't believe you were there.
Still going on about that saddle.
You won't hurt me.
If anyone could do anything with that horse, it's Red.
What makes you say that? Red's 17. How much knowledge do you think Red has accumulated to rehabilitate this horse? I would be getting in other trainers to help with this horse. Something tells me Red doesn't have the full knowledge at 17 to break in this horse.
You're a Kavanagh. He's an O'Malley, please.
Veronica, my feelings for Red are real.
Oh, so now you admit you have a crush on Red, but when Ashley and Melanie confronted you about it, that wasn't anything special. But now all of a sudden you're admitting you have a crush on him.
Come on, Christy. You fell over yourself with that vet. And what about James and Murray?
Have we missed an episode? Did they cut out an episode? Who was James? There was no James in the Saddle Club. There's an unreleased episode. We better start a petition to get this unreleased episode released. Whew.
Fall in love with whom you choose. But families like the D'Angelos and the Kavanaghs, we have a responsibility.
I love how she just says it like with so much Kavanaghs and the D'Angelos. Like so much emphasis on them. It's not just Kavanagh and D'Angelo, it's D'Angelo and Kavanagh.
We should clean it up. If we could get this organized, then Drew could see where the problems are and work through them.
Where do we start?
You're the
Drew is a businessman. So even though things may seem messy, everything is in its place. Moving things is going to make Drew more stressed. Okay? He knows where everything is. I know how a businessman's mind works. He knows where everything is. Everything is in its place right now. This is organized. He's sorting through things. Moving things is only going to make things worse. He's going to be like, I left things here. This was the pile I was working on. This was the pile that I was supposed to give to somebody else. You know, what have you done to my stuff? No, never touch other people's stuff because there is a system there somewhere.
What is it? It's the bank. Max took out some big loans and now they want to be paid back. Well,
that's kind of how banks work. You can imagine if someone came to you and asked for money, you'd want your money back after a certain amount of time. You'd be like, right, I've given you more time than I've needed. Give me my money back. I think the bank has every right to be angry that they haven't been paid back. That's kind of how banks work. You do eventually have to pay them back and you are given a deadline. Don't understand why people think it's such a bad thing that the bank wants to be paid back. You loaned from the bank and now they want to be paid back. That's how it works. You can't just keep the money forever. You have to pay them back. You know when you watch a cartoon and you kind of like the voice doesn't match the cartoon? I have the same thing with horses and their whinnies. Like you just know that the horse and the whinny aren't one and one.
You can't be done already.
Melissa. If this is going to work, it'll take time and patience. That's enough for today.
You tried 2 minutes and you couldn't calm down the horse, and you're saying that's enough for one day? You give up too easy, Red.
There if I try. When you look around the corner with a smile on your face and the world in front of you.
I would love to see your busking license, because you can't just get out on the street and sing. Like, even in a private place, that is quite illegal. You know, you do need a busking license even for people at your own age, so you worry about dying biting because you're getting sued. Well, now you're going to get fined. So I don't know how big your profit's going to be.
Has begun. The worst is over now, but the damage has been done.
For a horse that likes to kick and gallop and buck and blah blah blah, I wouldn't be having a water bucket. You'd get those wall ones that stick on the wall for him to drink, because, you know, he's so out of control, he's going to knock over his water bucket and become dehydrated. So it was a stupid idea to put in a water bucket. He should have had those wall mounted ones. And I know Pine Hollow is struggling for money, but a horse's dehydration is quite important.
Find your home. You can take us with you.
Ah, you like those.
Every horse likes carrots. Meet one horse that doesn't. And a horse that, you know, had fear and rearing of things being thrown in front of his face. Throwing a carrot is an excellent thing to do. Another episode done and dusted. If you did like this episode, please give it a big thumbs up, and also please do subscribe for more, and please sign the petition that I have linked in the description box. I'm sure you all know what it's for, to at least bring to someone's attention about the unreleased music in season 2 and season 3, to eventually get it released. But yeah, that'd be a big help if you could sign it, and I will see you next time in the next episode. Bye guys.